Hi there, everyone. I'm Praseetha Columsodi from IBM Watson Marketing, and I will be your moderator on today's webinar hosted by Watson Marketing and Magnolia CMS. We're going to kick off the presentation in the next few minutes, but before we start all that, just to get a bit of context about who's out there in the audience, we're going to run a couple of polls throughout the session. In your webinar windows, you'll see you've got the ability to respond to those polls. I'm going to kick off the first one now whilst I introduce today's speakers, and do take some time just to respond if you'd like to. So, over the next 40 minutes or so, we would like to help you to understand how you can create highly personalized web experiences for your customers using our integrated solutions. We know that in today's consumer-driven world, being able to provide the right, relevant experience to your prospects and customers is so important. So just imagine if you could quickly personalize your web content and deliver the real-time experience that your customers are looking for. We're here today to help explain how Magnolia CMS and Watson Marketing can help you do just that. Now I'm going to start by just giving you a little bit of context and background on our presenters for today. Firstly, we have Michael Schunecker, and he's Watson Marketing Sales Engineer based in Munich in Germany. He's been with IBM for over 4 years, working with our customers to help them create seamless, engaging, and comprehensive brand experiences across multiple channels. We also have Brian Warwick, and he's a Senior Solutions Architect from Magnolia. Brian really understands the power of personalization to drive conversions and commerce. I'll hand over to Brian and Michael shortly, and they'll take you through an overview of the challenges that are facing marketers today and how our integrated solutions address these challenges. Just to let you know, we will be recording today's webinar, and you'll receive an email in the next few days with a link to that recording in case you want to view it again or share with your colleagues. We will also be taking questions throughout the session in the chat window, so please feel free to post any that you have there, and I'll be back at the end of the presentation to discuss your questions with Brian and Michael. So I'm going to hand over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Praseetha. So, yeah, welcome all, and welcome to that webinar today. I will now show you a little bit more about Watson Marketing and how we can help to drive personalization on different channels. As Praseetha already introduced me, so I'm a sales engineer for Watson Marketing and covering the European region. And my main task and my main goal today is to bring you a little bit closer to your goal to understand how you can achieve your challenges with Watson Marketing. So what is the goal? What is the goal of each marketer? You want to know each customer context, and you want to then innovate and scale your personal interactions in real time. So that's the goal you want to achieve. But how we can fulfill that goal, how we can come closer to that. You as a marketer or your marketing departments have a lot of different use cases and a lot of different challenges each day with new channels, new possibilities out there in the market, and also your customers are expecting new and different things from you. And here on the screen you can see some of these challenges maybe you're also facing. What we also see is that the customer journey has changed over the last few years. A lot is happening before the buying process even started. So you have to listen even before the user is considering buying something from you. Also, the online traffic and the sales increased over time massively, and mobile and social engagements are also going up. What always coexists to these new channels is email, and it remains the preferred channel of most of our consumers. And it's still a very important channel. Also, the expectations of the customers have changed over time. They are expecting a seamless and integrated experience over all these channels. And they're also expecting that you're listening to them and understanding their needs and also their preferences. And they want to receive not the standard email newsletters. They want to receive personalized and timely information and services via all these channels and all these opportunities where they have to consume information. Yeah, also there is a big gap. So 81% of the companies say that they think that they know all about their customers, that they have that holistic view on their customers. But only 37% of the consumers say that their favorite brand is understanding them. So there's a real gap between what we as a company think we can provide and between that what consumers really get in the end. And each consumer is choosing his or her own way to, in the end, convert. They're using, for example, web, they're using social networks, using mobile apps. So each customer is traveling on a different journey. And so what we have to try to achieve is to understand people on these journeys, track all the different touch points, and also provide relevant and personalized content in all of these. And we with Watson Marketing think we can help here. So what is Watson and why we have that name now in our brand? So Watson is a machine learning artificial intelligence system. What can understand natural language, one can also make reasons out of that, learn over time, and interact based on what the machine has learned over time. Very important is that the machine should not overrule the human. It is a teamwork, so the machine should work as an assistant next to the marketeer. So it's not machine with human, it's machines with humans. And that's what we brought into Watson Marketing. And the key main areas where we want to focus is the easy and very effective design of customer journeys and interactions, supported by Watson with the cognitive capabilities to make it easy and to make it also possible to adapt to the customer needs in an agile way. What we in Watson Marketing can provide is a central marketing hub, a marketing database, what breaks down data from silos into an integrated tool. So every customer really has data in different locations, in CRM systems, POS systems, in ERP systems, e-commerce systems, and even CMS systems, and we have to bring that together to ensure that we really can track the users on all these different channels and ensure that we have a single identity to then provide a consistent customer experience. And that's what we can do. So we can get data from different sources, unify them in our tool, and bring so together that we have one user profile for each of our customers. And when we have done that in the tool of Watson Campaign Automation, we can then automate the journeys of the customers. So that's now on the screen here, our Campaign Builder, what we can see, and we can combine here in the Campaign Builder different channels. So we are supporting email, mobile push, SMS in a very simple to use user interface, and it really can help you to create that omni-channel experience. So it's not that you have to create different campaigns for your different channels. It's one unified journey where we provide the right content at the right channel for the customers. So now I want to hand over to Brian, who will guide you a little bit through the capabilities of Magnolia. Before that, we have again a quick poll, but meanwhile, I'll introduce Brian a bit.
Great, thank you, Michael. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. Great. So a little bit about me here on the slide. I've been working with Magnolia in multiple different capacities since 2009, and as a senior solutions architect based in our Miami office since 2014. If you're not familiar with Magnolia, we provide a flexible and extensible Java-based CMS. It's easy for both content editors and developers to use. And along with that strength of the Java backend, you can also use current front-end tools and frameworks to launch and enhance your sites quickly.
Brian, very quick. Yeah, now we can see the screen. Thank you.
Okay, great. One of Magnolia's many key strengths is the ability to quickly create content and enrich or personalize it using any data in your ecosystem, including any customer information that you have from Watson Marketing. All of this is integrated via our library of connectors, including one that we have for Watson Marketing. And all of that rich content can then be shared to any digital endpoint, from traditional websites to mobile apps to email to, well, really anything. As I mentioned, Magnolia is very easy to use, and it's as simple as navigating a smartphone or a tablet. You have the added benefit of a unified user experience so that all content creators, marketers, editors are able to quickly focus on the task at hand and the content that they'd like to work with. As I mentioned, we do have a connector for Watson Marketing, and we'll be using that today in our live demonstration to illustrate how easy it is to personalize content within Magnolia. This Watson Marketing connector is fully maintained by Magnolia, so you can always be assured that you'll have access to that wealth of customer information and data that's in Watson. So setting up our live demonstration today, our journey with personalization is going to begin with some unique ID. In fact, it actually, with Watson Marketing, it starts a little bit earlier. We can track some user behavior via some cookies on the site as well. But once we have that unique identifier, today we'll be using a simple email address, which is a pretty common unique identifier that we have all shared, just like signing up for today's webinar. Once we have this unique identifier, we open the possibilities for targeting and understanding our visitor preferences, their buying behaviors, etc. We can also provide a consistent message across all channels and collect data for analysis, and of course personalize all of our content based on that user information. So with our Watson Marketing connector, we can collect visitor information. We use some existing campaign forms from Watson, so we just redisplay those in the site's unique style. And we can also use this information for authenticating the user and accessing their profile. Once we've done that, all of that user data across all of the channels can certainly be used, and we're going to use it to personalize their experience. This consistency of data allows us to gain deeper insights and plan richer strategies for targeting our communication. We also have the ability to score a user's behavior and user interactions such that we can really target what's happening. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Michael, who's going to walk us through some of the features in Watson Marketing live, and then I'll come back and show you how to use Watson Marketing and that rich data to personalize the web experience.
Perfect, thanks, Brian. So what I want to show you now, a little bit in the tool, which channels we can cover, and here a quick overview on my screen now, which channels we can cover with Watson Marketing. From email over to push into in-app messages and SMS, and also social advertising. It's all in our solution. What is missing is the website personalization, and that is what we want to show you now in the demonstration. And that personalization is then powered on the web through Magnolia. So I want to jump now on my web browser. Hope you can see all that screen now. What you see now is Watson Campaign Automation, the heart of our solution where we can automate marketing processes and journeys for our customers. And what I want to jump in the beginning already is up there the automation section. That's the most important functionality in here. We can automate different sort of campaigns with Watson Campaign Automation, from simple welcome campaigns over to nurture campaigns, and also things like birthday and anniversary campaigns can be automated. And we provide a selected number of templates or blueprints in here what can be used to start off with the tool immediately. So you can use one of these templates, for example here the welcome campaign, to immediately trigger a message if a user submits a web form. Or you can use nurture campaigns to nurture your leads from the first contact on a web form down to the sales funnel to finally maybe synchronize that now nurtured lead with a CRM system. I want to dive a little bit deeper in one example up here in a welcome campaign, and I've opened that here on my screen already. So what you have here on in my screen on my browser here is one example for an automated program. What would start if somebody is new in our database? What we can do here, we can first of all place different interactions like emails, SMS, push, or also social advertising on here. You can simply use the user interface with drag and drop and place these decisions and also these interactions on that panel here. In between of the messages, what you can see here, I have placed a so-called decision diamond, what means that I can decide what should happen next after the user has received the first interaction. So after 2 days, maybe I want to trigger a next message. It should happen only if the user have opened the first one. And we can then decide maybe if the user have not opened one to send another message. If the user is using the mobile app, we want to trigger a push message, or if the mobile app is not installed, an SMS message. So it's really important that we can communicate with the user on the right channel what he prefers and what he is actually using. These decisions, what we can see in here, are based on our decision engine or rule engine. That rule engine can capture, first of all, different user behaviors on the web, in emails, on mobile apps, or even data changes in the database or data changes on the web form. And here an example of our rule engine, what I maybe want to use to drive personalized messages out to people who are developers, who are interested in Magnolia as a developer or on the APIs what are available. So I can create rules based on, first of all, profile data. That is the data what we have in the database. That's maybe coming from a backend system. It could come also from a web form in Magnolia. Then I can combine these rules based on database fields with behaviors. And behaviors can be things like email opens, email clicks, or even if users have downloaded something on a website, or if users have visited a website. With integration with Magnolia, we are also deploying our built-in web tracking capabilities in the Magnolia CMS system. So we can automatically track which pages the user is visiting, which files the user is downloading, or even which custom events the user is triggering there, for example, searches on the web page. In addition, as mentioned, we also have a mobile SDK, what can be embedded into any mobile app, and that brings the capabilities into our tool to track user behaviors also in the mobile app. We can even do geofencing and geo-targeting in here, and we have also an open platform with a technology what we call Universal Behavior Exchange. That's a selection of partners, that supports a selection of partners, currently 50, where we have pre-built integrations to them. With a simple drag and drop user interface, we can get events and also segments from third-party solutions, for example, from any web tracking tools or social listening tools, and we can use that in real time. Here an example, maybe you want to select everybody who have tweeted about Magnolia in the last 30 days. That could be now a segment what I can use to drive personalized content in an email. That can be used to drive personalized content in push or SMS messages, or even on the website, what we see a little bit later. In addition, what Brian has already mentioned, we have also scoring, because maybe not only one single website visit is significant enough to tell us if a user is interested in developer content on Magnolia. So what we have is scoring, and scoring enables us to score people on different dimensions. First of all, we can score people and persons in our database based on database fields. For sure, if somebody tells us that he's a developer, that means he's interested in that content. So that person will get 100 points, for example. But we can combine that database-based scoring with behavioral scoring. Each time a user would visit the developer section of Magnolia, we would assign 50 points. So if I click more often on these sections, I show real interest and my score will go up. We can also do that based on the recency. An email open or an email click is more relevant if it happened recently. If something is happening more than 60 days ago, that's not really relevant anymore, and we assign only 0 points. And you can build up multiple scoring models for different purposes, for different categories on your pages, or for different product groups. In the end, we have a ranking for each of our users based on the points they have so far chain, and we know if users highly interested have only little interest or no interest in a particular product group, category, or content. And now I want to hand over again to Brian, who shows you now how we can use these informations to personalize the web experience.
Great, thank you, Michael. To highlight the power of personalization with Watson Marketing and Magnolia, we're going to work with this Welcome to Magnolia site. As an example, we're going to use this as a landing page for maybe a sample lead generation campaign. And of course, we're going to have a few goals with this, this page. Let's say our campaign has two main audiences. It has marketers and developers. Well, one of our goals is obviously going to be to understand our audience behavior. So as users may click around the site, we can start to track, even before we know exactly who the user is, we can start to track their behavior via the cookie that is sharing data with Watson. So this adds all of that website behavior and for the user to all of the sources that Michael mentioned. And as Michael said, we can start to build scoring models and get a holistic view of our visitor. Our audiences surely have different goals as well. And when they're looking at Magnolia or selecting a product, marketers are going to respond to content in a different way than developers will. So here we have some key points on screen about Magnolia and how it that may be relevant. But again, maybe our developers want to see something different. So we'll personalize this particular bit of content. And if you recall our unique ID that we mentioned in our presentation a moment ago, we'll want to capture some information about the user so that we can really start to drive that personalization via the website. Here we have a simple sign-up form, not too much information to enter, just we want to encourage easy participation. And you can see we have a drop-down here for different roles, marketer and developer. Both of these fields are defined in a campaign inside of Watson Marketing, and we're pulling the fields forward into Magnolia and styling them according to the website style and theme. But the fields are, and the content is being shared with Watson so that we get, again, that consistency of everything. And there's no need to duplicate the form creation. You literally just select it and go. We'll show that when we edit the page itself. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and set up a user here. I'm going to quickly enter an email address for this user, and I'm going to actually select their role to be one as developer. When I go ahead and submit my form information, again, this is pushing that form information or that user information to Watson Marketing. We've refreshed the page, and now when I go to my About section, I can see that now I'm addressing this user community or this audience in a direct way. And my key features have also been swapped out for things that are a bit more meaningful for the developer themselves. So we're going to go ahead and show how to edit this this page and how we selected the audience and created the content for personalization. But before we do that, I just do want to quickly jump into our Watson Campaign Marketing tool that we've connected to my page, and we can see now I've added in this particular user developer just a few moments ago. And we can see that they're a user from the web. If I go ahead and select into the information about the user, we can see now that I have a high level of interest because maybe we really want to target our developers in this particular campaign. And we can see that the role that I selected when I input the data is one of developer. We also have the ability to look at their insights. Now I'm running my little demonstration locally, so I'm seeing my data as localhost, and I can see that just 1 minute ago we interacted with the page. So we begin to capture, again, that user information, that user behavior. So that user data now can be used to drive personalization. So let's go ahead into the Magnolia authoring environment. This is where content editors and creators will and administrators work with the system. And we're going to go ahead and put that data to use. After logging to Magnolia, I'm presented here with our app launcher screen. Each of these apps is a unique content type or unique set of functions that a user can use, and they can be grouped into the various different purposes. So we've got a number of editing apps here available to me, as well as some targeting-based apps. For example, our segments, we can build collections of user data to go ahead and personalize from. And we can also then create personas, which are fictional users, but ones that match our segments to go ahead and personalize or test our personalization. Because we also have the ability to personalize directly in the website itself, and the website lives in our Pages app, so I'm going to go ahead there now. Within the Pages app here, I've got a number of sites that I'm managing. The first two, the travel and sports station sites, may be familiar to you if you've downloaded a trial of Magnolia or accessed our online demo. These are reference sites that show working, that have various ways of working with content and have a lot of really interesting examples, so I do recommend that you can check them out. Well, here we also have my Magnolia landing page. I can see I'm using a landing page template here for this particular page as well. And I can also see, based on this little branch icon, that there's some personalization happening on this page. So let's go ahead and open this page for editing. As we navigate the page, we can start to see that there are various sections of the page that are available to all users. So we're not personalizing these particular items on the page itself. But as I scroll down a little bit further to our key features, we can see that this is personalized here. We'll come back to this here in a second. But I did want to quickly show our form selection, again, because we're accessing and selecting for forms that are coming from campaigns in Watson Marketing. We still got it labeled here as under the previous name of Silverpop, but we are accessing Watson Marketing here as our form provider, and we have the ability to select from any active campaign forms that are available. So this is how I can go ahead and quickly choose the data that I want to collect from the user and begin to integrate it into the campaign itself. Okay. So again, I'm going to go back to our key features, and we can see that this area of the page has been personalized. This is what we saw change on the screen itself. So here I've got the original content. This is what the user is first, or visitors first going to see when they access our particular landing page. And then I've also got a set of content that is labeled for developers. So again, we can edit this. We can maybe start to change our section title or our description. And in addition, I can choose the audience that I want to drive the personalization with. So here in my action bar on the right-hand side, I've got the ability to do a couple of things in the personalization realm. I can add additional component variant, which I'll do here in a second, or I can choose the audience for a particular variation of content that's already been created. So in this particular case, I've named it with an easy-to-view name of developer. I could choose from any segments that I have that are predefined. So maybe I want to choose geography or some other segmentation. Or, as I mentioned before, we can quickly go ahead and just select the information from Watson Marketing that's pertinent to us. I could add additional traits here if I wanted to, so I could really begin to build out that rich personalization. Okay. So we've personalized the content for our developer audience, but what if marketers should have their own content too? As I mentioned, I can create a new component variant. So this is a new copy of content, and I can see that initially it's given a name of variant and some number. But when I go ahead and decide to choose my audience, again, I give it a simple name, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the role of marketing. This dropdown is again looking at Watson Marketing and selecting the available values. So if we added new roles, they would also appear here and be immediately available for personalization. Okay. So once I've picked my role as or audience as a marketer, I can begin to edit this content. So again, maybe we want to say the brackets that I'm putting in here tell my styling to go ahead and change the color of this particular text. So that's something that we've customized in this particular component. In addition, maybe I want to change the data here. Maybe I only want to show a couple of different items. So I can quickly remove some of the components here. And maybe I want to change this one as well. So now I've got this empty area. I'm doing this on purpose so that we can see how Magnolia then displays the content form inside of the page, because I've left my column intact. Okay. Now that we've made our changes, we can see quickly here that it's showing me the marketer content, but I can also quickly switch back to my developer content to view that, as well as my original. So once I've done this and I've deemed everything is good, I'm going to go ahead and preview the page so I get a true representation of how the page is going to display for a given visitor. So in this particular case, now all of my green editing bars have been removed, and I'm got just a clean representation of the site here. Notice as I go through, all of the content that we expect to be visible is visible, and I'm getting this original variation of the content itself. In my preview, I do have the ability to look at this in different views, so tablet, smartphone. These are configurable and definable within Magnolia, so you have the ability to see the content in the way that you'd like to see it. I also have this option here to preview this content as a visitor. Because I'm doing personalization and as an editor, I may not exactly have the data available to me in my user profile that I can use to view the site as a visitor. So I'd like to be able to go ahead and do that now. So if I change now my role to be one of marketing by selecting this box, the page will refresh, and again, now we can see we've got our welcome marketer message and our three-column layout with no content here in the center column. Again, done on purpose to really make this content stand out. That looks pretty good. So if I go back now into the page, I have the option to do a couple of different things. If this was maybe an email template, I could also publish this directly to Watson Marketing for use in our campaign. So this is totally bidirectional in terms of the interaction with Watson Marketing. But for my purposes, I'm going to go ahead and publish this. I'm going to say I added a marketer role and personalize the content for that role. And I'm going to go ahead and publish it. Because I'm in as a user with the role of editor, I see that the workflow has been kicked off, but I don't have the ability to review and approve it. So I'm going to quickly switch to a user named Peter, who does have publisher rights. And when I come in as Peter, I get a very similar view to what I had as Brian, but I do see now I've got an icon here in the message center that lets me know that there's some action or some information that's important to me. In this case, when I take a look, the information is a publication request. I begin to see a snippet of my comment here. We see it's a new request, so it's not been assigned to anyone. Brian was the sender. And it went to an entire group of users that have the ability to act upon this. So if I go ahead and open the request, I get to see now my full comment here, and I can take a couple of actions. I can immediately preview the page or show the changes that have been made to the page, and I can assign this task to myself. Effectively, when I do this, it will remove it from the queue for other publishers to work on, so you don't have duplication of work or multiple people trying to do the same task. If for any reason I wanted to, I could reject the change with a comment that would go back to Brian. As I mentioned, I have all the same preview capabilities available to me here. I do see that now a version number has been assigned to this page as well. So I now know that I'm looking at a version of the content. And again, all of the same preview capabilities, including preview here as a visitor. Okay, so when I look back here now at my request, just in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead, approve, and publish this. So I get a notification the workflow has been approved. And now, if I go back to my site and I refresh it, my public view, I now have the ability to check my personalization. So as I scroll through, because of the cookie, I am still getting my developer view, but maybe I want to change or sign up as a new user, so I'm going to call myself marketer at magnoliacms.com and change my role to marketing. When I resubmit, this will create that new user in Watson Marketing and interrogate that role to display the content appropriately. And now we see we've got our welcome marketer message and our 3-column layout with the center column blank. Okay. With that, I'd like to turn it back to Michael now, who will speak a little bit about scoring and how that can enhance the personalization efforts.
Thank you, Brian. So what I want to simply mention at the end, and I showed that already on the previous screen, what I can do in scoring. So I want to simply open now again once my screen, show my screen, here we go. You should see now again my scoring model. What you have there as well, the option that you can bring up behaviors from the web. So all the things what now Brian have done on the website are now maybe also increasing the scoring over time. So that's something what you then also can use again later for personalization of emails, of push messages. So it's really a bidirectional synchronization. And also what I want to add, the publishing to Watson Marketing, that enables you to reuse content from your CMS system for emails and other communication. So you don't have to recreate all your content again. So that makes it much easier to quickly design and apply that message then. Okay, so that was now all from my side. I want to hand over now to Procedure, who will answer some questions.
I think actually you're going to be answering the questions, Michael. I'll do the asking here. We've got a couple of questions so far, and if you have got any further questions, please do add them into the question pane on the webinar. First question is for you, Brian, and that question is there any limit to the data that can be used for personalizing content in Magnolia?
Thanks, Prasita. No, there's no limit to the data that can be used. It can be data. The traits tend to fall into two separate categories. One is implicit, so things like the role, so something we explicitly know about someone, or implicit would be something we can surmise about the user, so maybe it's information from the cookie or their geography that's coming from their IP address. Or it can be something very explicit, like we've seen with the role that we know about a particular user. So, great question. There are no limits to the data that can be used for personalization.
Thanks, Brian. And for you, Michael, can you also capture unknown users with your web tracking?
Yes, we can do that. So, for example, if a user is coming to the website for the first time, is not registering himself or not logging in, we store his user behaviors. So we store all his interactions on the website first as anonymous users. We can't use it yet. But for example, 2 weeks later, he's registering. From that point on, then we can also use his previous anonymous behaviors, and we merge it with the now known user. Yes, so we can track also anonymous behaviors. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. I've got another question here, and that question is: does Magnolia themselves use Watson Marketing and the integration? And I think Michael, you've been working on this with them recently. So do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I'm working with Magnolia now and they signed with us for the product, I think 2 months or a month ago, and we are currently working on setting up the integration and doing the first initial steps with Watson campaign automation. The main reason why they're using us is, first of all, the integration with Magnolia, no question, but on the other hand, they're also integrating with Sugar CRM. So for them, it was very important that we have that out-of-the-box integration to different CRM systems. For example, Dynamics, Salesforce, and also Sugar CRM. So that was one important thing to really close the loop between marketing and sales.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Michael. Well, I think that's really all we have time for today, and we've answered as many questions as we can from the chat window. So I'd like to thank you all very much for your time today. It really was great to spend some time with you to explain how we can help you really personalize your web content. As I mentioned at the beginning, you'll receive an email later with a link to the recording in a few days' time, so you can rewatch the webinar or share that with your colleagues. So with that, I'm going to close out today's session, and thank you very much for your attendance. Bye now.